Hello, America. Bruce Bongardt here, virtual presidential candidate under the Proudican Party. Once again, this event is being sponsored by www.cf2008ontape.ning.com. Question and answers, Section 7, Government-Related Issues. Question 1. Does our current taxation system need an overhaul, and what solution would you implement to improve it? Question 2. As President, what steps would you take regarding special interest lobbying and out-of-control government spending? Well, here again, we're talking about progressive solutions, where we combine a multiple number of issues into kind of coming up with a common solution. In this case, we're talking about a taxation solution. I call it flat with a little extra fat. Well, now there are many different approaches that we could adopt, such as the fair tax of 23%. We could go with some initiatives for a flat tax. We could go with our current taxation system the way it currently is. There are a variety of different approaches. Well, here's what I think the best approach is: to combine both a flat tax approach along with a federal consumption tax, similar to a state tax and state sales tax approach. Very similar. Here's what we would do. First off, we would start off and we would abolish our current U.S. taxation system. It's very complicated and cumbersome. Lots of paperwork, accountability on that. Let's get rid of all that. Let's simplify it. Here's what else wouldn't happen. We wouldn't be abolishing the IRS. The IRS would definitely still continue in a capacity for lesser paperwork approach, auditing, as well as making sure the programs where funding is being directed is going properly to those particular programs. Okay, so now what is exactly this approach? First off, we start with a flat payroll tax of 10%. Now, out of that 10%, you and I could actually indicate 5% onto what programs we think those monies should go to. So now when you fill out your form, your W-2, W-4 form at the beginning of the year, essentially there you would indicate which programs you wanted those funds to go to. So now what is that going to do? That's going to drive special interest lobbying influence away from Congress and instead focus it on you and I, on we the people. That's where the focus should be for programs. That's where the focus should be for where that spending goes to. Okay, so now what's our next step? Corporations. What do we do in the case of corporations? Corporations and businesses would be a tiered approach, but it'd be a lower taxation for them as well. It'd be a 10, a 15, or 20% approach. So if they're a small, medium, or large-sized business. Now, what does this mean in terms of goods and services? This means that they would have to pay that particular percentage. Step 3 is the real interesting part. We get into the federal consumption tax of 10%. So now corporations, whenever they needed to buy raw materials or goods to make their products, they would have to pay 10%. If you and I basically needed to buy products, food, gas, whatever the case may be, we'd also pay that same percentage of 10%. But here's the thing. For you and I, it focuses us on what our needs are versus on what our wants are. For those who are wealthy or rich, they can afford to buy more things, but they would be buying those more things at only a taxation rate of 10%. So, what else does this federal consumption tax do? Well, we can use it as a direct targeted industry stimulus approach. So, for example, let's say we wanted to stimulate the industry of buying and selling cars. We could actually drop that 10% down to, let's say, 7, 8%, maybe, something of that nature, a few percent at a time. What that means is that would be now a targeted stimulation for that particular industry. No longer will we have to issue stimulus checks in order to try and hope that various aspects of our economic industry is being stimulated. Pretty interesting, right? Well, here's what else it would do. Since we have 10% now, it would be 10% on all goods and services. So now, for example, NAFTA would no longer be North American Free Trade Agreement, completely free. They would have to pay 10%. Corporations would have to pay their taxes in the percentage that were discussed. Now, this means industries that have oftentimes gone under the radar, the black market industry, 10% still. We would be able to regain some taxation from those industries. No longer would people be focused on trying to evade taxation. So crime and corruption in terms of taxation would be much simpler. We're taking that money off the top. We're taking it directly off the top of your payroll. We're taking it directly off the top of at the point that you purchase a goods or service. So, what else? Compliance. As I mentioned, IRS would basically be in charge of making sure that the forms were filled out properly, programs were allocated, and between you, the employer, and the IRS, there would be a checks and balances there, that sort of approach. So this is the flat with a little extra fat taxation plan. Well, special interest lobbying, what else can we do there? Well, I have another solution that we could adopt there. I call it the by the people, for the people approach. Now, there's lots of polls out there. Roper, Gallup, the major networks are often taking polls, but oftentimes those are used only in sort of a cosmetic type approach. They're not usually used in a perceptional or influential sort of way, at least not quantitatively. Here's what I think we should try and do. We should make it a mandate that Congress actually look at these polls and we develop a network where we, the people, can actually be polled or vote on particular bills before they're actually introduced into Congress. Now, this way, it changes the focus away from special interest lobbying and it redirects it back to we, the people. There again, it's having lobbyists lobby you and I, not Congress. So we throw some money at it, $100 million or whatever it may take to kind of get this polling network going. But it's using polling in a completely different, influential type of approach. I hope you like that idea. Very simple, but potentially very worthwhile because it could definitely impact spending and reduce spending, government spending, as well as pork barrel spending and earmarked spending that currently is going on in Congress. Question number 3. Is there a fundamental discord with our representative democracy that primarily allows and encourages only a two-party political system to be in power? Absolutely. Having gone through this process as a third-party candidate, mind you, I'm a virtual candidate, but having gone through this process, I've realized that there is definitely a blackout in terms of third-party access, in terms of media access, in terms of this, there's this stronghold of a two-party Republican-Democrat monopoly that is preventing all other kinds of democratic kind of ideals and other kinds of party ideas from rising to the top. We're a democracy. Everybody should have a say. Everybody should have a political opinion and be able to voice that opinion and that opinion be heard and brought up. And if it is valid and good, then many other people might choose to adopt that party platform, that other party platform as well. Why are we preventing that? We've got to ask ourselves, as a democracy, it should not be allowed to happen. Question number 4. Are our elections and its elected officials truly representative of the people? Well, I believe if we adopted an approach like this, there would be more representation directly of what the people's opinions are. A one-to-one sort of approach. Question number 5. Are there any additional government-related programs or initiatives that you would like to focus on if you become president? Well, as I pointed out, I am a virtual candidate. I'm not actually running for the office. In the future, who knows what the future holds? I may choose to run again and actually try and be on the ballot as well as whatever would be involved with that. But in the meantime, I would hope that our elected officials picked up on some of what I had to offer. Some of these solutions, some of these progressive solutions, as opposed to just going with the current status quo. Once again, I would like to say my name is Bruce Bongardt, virtual presidential candidate under the Proudican Party, saying thank you, take care, and God's peace be with all of you.